Sometimes the most powerful word in the English language isn't love or hope or courage. Sometimes it's together. That's what 16-year-old twins Alex and Ryan Peterson proved when they stood at the Family Feud podium and gave an answer that stopped Steve Harvey's heart, brought an entire television studio to tears, and redefined what it means to be whole. What happened in that moment would challenge everything anyone thought they knew about disability, difference, and the unbreakable bonds that make us complete. The Peterson family had arrived at the Family Feud studios in Atlanta after a journey that began not 18 hours ago on the highway from Minneapolis, but 16 years ago in the neonatal intensive care unit at Children's Hospital, where two babies fought for life while connected in ways that medical textbooks called impossible and parents called miraculous. Alex and Ryan Peterson had been born as conjoined twins, joined at the torso in a configuration so complex that doctors initially said separation would be impossible without losing one or both children. For the first 8 months of their lives, they shared more than just physical space. They shared every breath, every heartbeat, every moment of existence in a way that most humans never experience with another soul. The diagnosis had come during Susan Peterson's 20-week ultrasound, delivered by a perinatologist who pointed to shadowy images showing two babies connected at the chest and abdomen. The remaining months of pregnancy had been spent in consultations with specialists, each offering different perspectives on their son's chances for survival and separation. The birth had been a carefully orchestrated medical event involving dozens of specialists. Alex and Ryan had been delivered at 36 weeks, their connected bodies requiring special equipment and procedures. For 8 months, they lived in the neonatal intensive care unit, connected to machines that monitored their shared vital functions, while their parents learned to care for babies whose needs were unlike anything in parenting books. The boys had distinct personalities from the beginning. Alex was more active and vocal, constantly moving and tracking sounds around the room. Ryan was calmer and more observant, his dark eyes taking in everything with remarkable intensity for someone so young. The separation surgery, when it finally became medically feasible, had been a 36-hour marathon involving 12 surgeons, countless specialists, and a family praying for a miracle they weren't sure they deserved. The Peterson family had spent those hours in a hospital waiting room, sustained by coffee, prayer, and the support of extended family. When the lead surgeon finally emerged after 36 hours, both boys had survived the separation and were stable, but the surgery had come with costs that would define the rest of their lives. Ryan had lost his left leg below the knee due to circulation complications during the procedure. Alex had lost his right arm when surgeons discovered that separating the shared blood vessels would otherwise compromise both boys' survival. The months of recovery that followed had been a crash course in adaptive parenting, prosthetics, physical therapy, and specialists who became part of their extended family. Alex had learned to crawl, then walk, then run, using only his left arm for balance. Ryan had adapted to his prosthetic leg with remarkable speed, treating it not as a limitation but as simply part of his body. But what amazed everyone involved in their care was how the boys had continued to function as a team even after their physical separation. Alex instinctively positioned himself to Ryan's left side during physical therapy, providing balance and support. Ryan automatically reached for things with his right hand and passed them to Alex's left hand in seamless partnership that required no verbal communication. Their pediatric psychologist had documented their progress with fascination. Most children who undergo traumatic medical procedures experience some regression, she had written. Alex and Ryan seem to have processed their surgery not as a trauma, but as a transition to a new way of being together. Their emotional bond appears to have strengthened rather than weakened. Now, 16 years later, Alex stood at the Family Feud podium with his left arm wrapped around his twin brother's shoulders, while Ryan balanced on his prosthetic leg with his right hand resting on Alex's back. To anyone watching, they might have looked like two teenagers dealing with separate physical challenges, but their family knew the truth. Alex and Ryan had never really been separated at all. They had simply learned to be together in a different way. Their partnership had evolved into something that went far beyond accommodation. Alex, who was naturally artistic, had become ambidextrous out of necessity. Ryan, who was analytically minded, had become fascinated with engineering and biomechanics. But their real strength lay in how they combined their abilities into something greater than either could achieve alone. Alex would sketch designs for Ryan's engineering projects, while Ryan would calculate principles behind Alex's artistic compositions. Their mother, Susan Peterson, sat in the hotel room that morning, watching her sons prepare for the biggest day of their young lives, marveling, as she did every morning, at how they had turned what doctors once called a medical tragedy into the most beautiful partnership she had ever witnessed. Alex, who wrote with his left hand, would hold Ryan's notebooks while his brother took notes in class. Ryan, who ran track on his prosthetic leg, would carry Alex's backpack so his brother could navigate crowded hallways more easily. They had developed their own language of gestures and signals, finishing each other's sentences, not because they were twins, but because they had learned to function as two parts of a single, incredible whole. The Family Feud opportunity had come about through their high school guidance counselor, Mrs. Martinez, who had been so inspired by the boys' partnership and positive attitude that she had nominated them for the show's annual Inspirational Families casting call. The Peterson family had initially been hesitant about appearing on national television, concerned about exposing the boys to potential ridicule or unwanted attention. But Alex and Ryan had been enthusiastic about the opportunity, seeing it as a chance to show the world that being different didn't mean being limited. The preparation for the show had been an exercise in teamwork that exemplified everything the Peterson family had learned over the past 16 years. While other families divided up research responsibilities and practiced individual buzzer techniques, Alex and Ryan approached Family Feud the same way they approached everything else, as a unified team where each brother's strengths compensated for any limitations. Alex, who was naturally quick-witted and excellent at wordplay, focused on studying categories that required creative thinking and lateral associations. Ryan, who had always been the more analytical brother, memorized statistical trends and popular survey responses. But their real advantage was something that couldn't be taught or practiced. They understood each other's thought processes so completely that they could anticipate responses, build on partially formed ideas, and communicate entire concepts with just a glance or gesture. Their father, Mike Peterson, a construction foreman who had learned to see strength in unexpected places, watched his sons practice their Family Feud strategies and felt the same pride he experienced every time he watched them navigate the world together. These boys had taught him that wholeness wasn't about having all your parts in perfect condition. It was about using what you have to build something beautiful with the people you love. The Peterson family team consisted of Alex, Ryan, their parents Mike and Susan, and their older sister Katie, a 19-year-old college student who had grown up believing that having brothers who were former conjoined twins was the most normal thing in the world. Katie had been Alex and Ryan's fiercest protector during their childhood, shutting down playground bullies with a combination of sharp wit and righteous anger that became legendary in their elementary school. Steve Harvey's pre-show meeting with the families was part of his standard routine, but he found himself immediately drawn to the Peterson twins' obvious closeness and the way they seemed to operate as a single unit while maintaining their individual personalities. There was something about their dynamic, the way Alex would automatically adjust his position to accommodate Ryan's prosthetic leg, the way Ryan would gesture with both hands to help Alex express complex ideas, that reminded Steve of the most successful partnerships he had ever witnessed. "Boys," Steve said, addressing Alex and Ryan directly, "I've been hosting this show for a lot of years, and I can tell when a team has something special. What's your secret?" Alex and Ryan exchanged one of their wordless communications, and then Alex spoke for both of them. "We learned a long time ago that having everything isn't as important as sharing everything you have." Steve was struck by the wisdom in that statement, and by the way, Ryan nodded in agreement, as if Alex had spoken exactly the words he would have chosen. There was a depth to these teenagers that went far beyond their years, a kind of earned wisdom that comes from facing challenges that would overwhelm most adults. "That's beautiful," Steve said, "and I have a feeling you're going to show everyone watching today what real teamwork looks like." The opposing family, the Rodriguez clan from San Antonio, were energetic and clearly excited to be there. They represented 4 generations of a large, boisterous family who approached Family Feud with enthusiasm and good humor. But something about the Peterson twins' quiet confidence and obvious bond seemed to create a respectful atmosphere that transcended typical game show competition. When Steve Harvey bounded onto the stage with his characteristic energy, the studio came alive with applause and cheering. Alex and Ryan stood at their family podium, Ryan's hand resting naturally on Alex's shoulder, both boys focused and ready for the challenge ahead. The family introductions went smoothly, with Steve engaging each member of the Peterson family with his usual warmth while showing particular interest in the twins' unique partnership. "Now, Alex and Ryan," Steve said during the introductions, "I understand you two have a pretty special relationship. Want to tell everyone about that?" Alex looked at Ryan, and in that split second of eye contact, an entire conversation seemed to take place. Ryan nodded slightly, and Alex stepped forward to answer. "We were born connected," Alex said simply. "The doctors separated us when we were babies, but we learned that being together isn't about being physically attached. It's about choosing to make each other stronger every day." The audience applauded, but Steve sensed there was more to the story. "And how do you make each other stronger?" This time, it was Ryan who answered, his voice clear and confident. "Alex is my right hand, and I'm his right leg. Together, we can do anything." The simplicity and truth of that statement created a moment of recognition in the studio. This wasn't about overcoming disability or inspiring others through tragedy. This was about 2 young men who had figured out how to turn what others might see as limitations into the foundation of an unbreakable partnership. The game began with the familiar energy and excitement that made Family Feud America's favorite family game show. The first question was straightforward. Name something people do together. The Rodriguez family won the face-off and chose to play, offering answers like eat dinner, watch movies, play games, go shopping, and travel. They dominated the round and built an early lead that put pressure on the Peterson family to perform. During the second round, the Peterson family had their first opportunity to show what they could do as a team. The question was, name something that comes in pairs, and it was Mike Peterson's turn to answer first. He confidently said, shoes, which was revealed as the number 2 answer. Susan followed with gloves, also on the board. Katie said earrings, which earned them another point. Then it was Ryan's turn, and he stepped forward to the podium, with Alex automatically moving to support him on his left side. Twins, Ryan said with a slight smile, and the answer was revealed as number 4 on the board. The Peterson family celebrated their success, but what struck everyone watching was how naturally Alex and Ryan moved together, anticipating each other's needs and providing support without any apparent communication or conscious effort. When it was Alex's turn, he approached the podium with Ryan beside him, and they seemed to have a brief, wordless conversation before Alex gave his answer. "Best friends," he said, and it was revealed as the number 1 response. The Peterson family erupted in celebration, but the real victory was in watching how Alex and Ryan shared the moment, each brother's joy amplifying the others until their happiness seemed to fill the entire studio. The game continued with both families playing competitively but respectfully, and Steve found himself paying special attention to the way Alex and Ryan interacted with each other and supported their family's efforts. During the third round, when the category was Name Something That Makes You Feel Complete, it was Ryan's turn to answer. Steve walked over to the Peterson family podium, positioned himself where both twins could see him clearly, and asked the question, "Ryan, name something that makes you feel complete." Ryan looked at Alex, and for a moment, his usual confidence seemed to waver slightly. The question had clearly resonated with him on a personal level, touching on concepts of wholeness and completion that carried profound meaning for someone who had spent the first 8 months of his life literally attached to another person. When Ryan spoke, his voice was strong and certain, but there was an emotional weight behind his words that everyone in the studio could feel. "Having someone who understands exactly who you are," he said. The answer wasn't on the board. The survey had been looking for more conventional responses like family, love, or achievement. But something about Ryan's response, the way he had looked at Alex when he said it, and the profound truth it contained, created a moment that transcended the game itself. Steve looked from Ryan to Alex, and he began to understand that these weren't just twin brothers who happened to have physical differences. These were two people who had been forced by circumstances to discover a level of partnership and mutual understanding that most humans never achieve in a lifetime. But it was during the fourth round that the moment everyone would remember forever finally arrived. The category was Name Something Twins Share, and the question fell to Alex. Steve walked over to the Peterson family podium with his usual energy, but something about the weight of the moment seemed to slow his approach. This wasn't just another game show question for this family. This was an opportunity for Alex to explain, in front of millions of viewers, what it meant to be part of a partnership that had literally been forged before birth. "All right, Alex," Steve said, his voice carrying the gentle respect that had characterized all his interactions with the twins. "Name something twins share." Alex looked at Ryan, and in that instant, something passed between them that was invisible to everyone else but unmistakably profound. These were two people who had shared everything: breath, heartbeat, blood flow, physical space, for the first 8 months of their existence, and who had spent the 16 years since then learning how to continue sharing everything that mattered while occupying separate bodies. When Alex spoke, his voice was clear and strong, carrying across the studio with the kind of certainty that comes from absolute truth. "They're missing pieces," he said simply. The words hit the studio like a physical force. This wasn't a typical Family Feud answer about sharing toys or clothes or bedrooms. This was a profound statement about how two people can make each other whole, about how love can transform loss into strength, about how the deepest partnerships are built not on having everything, but on sharing whatever you have with someone who completes what you lack. Steve Harvey, a man who had heard thousands of answers over his years of hosting, stopped moving entirely. The studio audience fell completely silent as they processed not just the words, but the weight of love and understanding behind them. The cameras kept rolling, but everyone understood that they were witnessing something far more important than entertainment. Steve looked from Alex to Ryan and suddenly understood everything about their relationship, their family, and the profound lesson they were teaching everyone who had the privilege to witness their partnership. These young men had taken what others might see as tragedy or limitation and transformed it into the most beautiful example of human connection he had ever encountered. "Alex," Steve said, his voice thick with emotion, "that's not just a good answer. That's the truth about what it means to love someone." He set his microphone down on the podium and walked directly to where Alex and Ryan stood together. What happened next would be replayed millions of times on social media, discussed in medical conferences and disability advocacy meetings, and remembered as one of the most powerful moments in television history. Steve positioned himself in front of both twins and spoke directly to them, his voice strong enough to carry across the silent studio. "I want everyone in this studio and everyone watching at home to understand something," he said. "These two young men just taught us the most important lesson about what it means to be human." He gestured to Alex and Ryan, who stood together with the natural ease of two people who had learned to function as parts of a greater whole. "You see, most people spend their whole lives looking for someone who makes them complete. Most people search and search for that one person who understands them completely, who supports them unconditionally, who helps them become more than they ever could be alone." Steve paused, letting his words sink in before continuing. "But these boys, they found that when they were babies, and instead of taking it for granted, instead of assuming that kind of connection just happens automatically, they've spent 16 years choosing every single day to make each other stronger, to share their gifts, and to turn what doctors once called a medical challenge into the most beautiful partnership I've ever seen." The studio was completely silent, except for the sound of people crying. Alex and Ryan stood together, tears streaming down both their faces, but their expressions showed not sadness but profound recognition and gratitude. Steve wasn't finished. He looked directly at Alex, then at Ryan, making sure each of them knew he was speaking specifically to them. "You asked me what twins share, Alex, and you said they're missing pieces, but I want you to know something. Looking at you two right now, I don't see anything missing. I see two complete human beings who have figured out how to multiply their strength by choosing to share everything they have with each other." He reached out and placed one hand on each twin's shoulder. You're not missing pieces, boys. You're extra pieces. You're proof that when love is real, when partnership is genuine, when people choose to complete each other instead of competing with each other, there's nothing in this world that can't be accomplished. The studio erupted in applause, but it wasn't the typical game show cheering. This was the sound of people recognizing something sacred, something that connected them to their own experiences of love, partnership, and the search for completion that defines the human experience. Steve turned to address the entire studio, his voice carrying the weight of absolute conviction. Ladies and gentlemen, we just learned something that's going to change how we think about strength, about wholeness, about what it means to be complete. These boys taught us that being whole isn't about having all your parts in perfect condition. Being whole is about finding someone who helps you use what you have to build something beautiful. He walked back to Alex and Ryan, who had moved closer together during his speech. Ryan's hand now resting on Alex's back, while Alex's arm wrapped around his brother's waist. And Alex, Ryan, I want you to have something. Steve began removing his suit jacket, the same burgundy jacket that had become part of his television persona, but instead of draping it around one person, he held it open between the twins. This jacket has been with me through every show I've ever hosted, he said. It's seen families win and lose, celebrate and struggle. But today, it's going home with two people who taught me that the greatest victories happen when we stop trying to be complete by ourselves and start choosing to complete each other. He wrapped the jacket around both twins' shoulders, and they automatically adjusted their positions so that Alex's left arm and Ryan's right arm were both inside the sleeves, creating a shared garment that seemed to symbolize everything about their partnership. You wear this together, Steve said, because everything you've accomplished together, everything you will accomplish, you'll accomplish together, and everyone who sees this jacket will remember the day two brothers taught the world what it really means to be whole. The episode aired 8 weeks later and became the most watched Family Feud episode in the show's history. But more importantly, it sparked a national conversation about disability, difference, and the power of partnership to transform challenges into strengths. The response from viewers was overwhelming and deeply personal. Families dealing with physical differences wrote to share how Alex and Ryan's appearance had given them new perspectives on their own situations. Medical professionals praised the show for presenting disability not as something to be pitied or overcome, but as one aspect of lives that could be rich, fulfilling, and inspirational. Disability advocacy organizations reported increases in donations and volunteer applications in the weeks following the episode. Several major companies reached out to the Peterson family about featuring Alex and Ryan in campaigns that focused on ability, partnership, and strength that comes from embracing difference. Steve Harvey, who had built a career on making people laugh and connecting with families, learned something profound about the difference between inspiration and exploitation. In interviews afterward, he said, "Alex and Ryan taught me that some people aren't inspiring because of what they've overcome. They're inspiring because of what they've chosen to build together." The Peterson family used their winnings to establish a scholarship fund for students with physical differences who demonstrated exceptional partnership skills. But the real prize was something money couldn't buy: the knowledge that their son's story had touched millions of people and changed how families across America thought about difference, partnership, and love. 6 months after the episode aired, Alex and Ryan were invited to speak at their state's annual Disability Advocacy Conference. Standing together at the podium, sharing a single microphone, they delivered a presentation about partnership that brought the room to their feet. The jacket Steve gave them hangs in their shared bedroom, a reminder of the day when television became something more than entertainment. Alex wears the left sleeve for important presentations, while Ryan wears the right sleeve for competitions. But on the most important occasions, they wear it together, just as Steve intended. Because sometimes the most powerful word in the English language really is together. And sometimes, two people who were born sharing everything can teach the world that wholeness isn't about having all your parts in perfect condition. It's about finding someone who helps you use what you have to build something beautiful, strong, and unbreakable.